Welcome. Let me get adjusted. The room is quite wild today. We're gonna fix that anyway. So we're just gonna get a little bit this way for the yoga. All right, I haven't done it this direction on YouTube in quite some time. So we have Bunny. Thank you for joining us for this 45-minute evening hatha class. This is a yoga class for those who are just a little overwhelmed with downloading all the different apps. Typically, classes are live on Instagram, so Instagram Live at Carmita Smiles. There's a Sunday Parlay Yoga a Cafe where we more chit chat. We do about a 20 to 25-minute flow, and then we talk about tea and coffee and the different processes and beverages and whatnot with that. And then there's a Monday Deep Stretch, which is like a gym style stretch class. So it's great for any bodies, all bodies, athletes. We theme some of the classes where this would be a great class today if you're in ice skating, if you're, doing dance or you're a basketball player, because we hit certain parts of the body or we do a full body stretch, but really anyone can do it. It's for everybody. So happy New Year. Happy 2023. We're going to talk a little bit about Hatha before we get into flow today. So this class is from new time change. So we start at now 7 p.m. Eastern to 7:45 p.m. Eastern, Central 6 p.m. Um, I took some notes that I wanted to share as we get into Hatha and our flow and our practice in the bunny room. Enjoy Bunny. In a bit, we'll be having some changes and things, and so he will not be joining us as much in the classes as they will be. They will be somewhere else. But this is a description from myyogateacher.com. I actually used my yoga teacher and my beginning practices. It's a little bit more Eastern style. It gets down to the roots of yoga and really brings into mind the reasoning behind the asanas and the practice. So, according to my yoga teacher, we're going to talk about a bit about one of the limbs of yoga. So, there is a form of yoga, Ashtanga yoga. Ashtanga, Hatha, Vinyasa, depending, tend to be broken up. But you could also look at it as Hatha yoga, as this class is one of the more popular styles of yoga done in the West. And it doesn't always have a peak pose. Like sometimes some vinyasa, we'd say, has a peak pose. You're going through, you're prepping, you're stretching to do that peak pose. Hatha, we don't really have a peak pose all the time. It's about connecting with breath. It's about getting the body prepared for meditation or just stretching certain areas of the body. So when thinking about Ashtanga yoga, which is the eight limbs, which is the philosophy, the meditation, the breath work, behavior principles, physical exercise. We have the fourth limb, which is our pranayama. A lot of yoga teachers like me will talk about our pranayama, and it is the extraint or expansion of our breath. Pranayama means our breath and getting control of that breath. And in yoga, we talk about feeling the breath where it goes in the body. We talk about synchronizing our breath with our asanas, with our movements, or in between movements. We're inhaling and exhaling. And prana is that life energy, and yama is that control. So prana yama. So that life energy, having control over that life energy. And in Ashtanga yoga, one learns how to control that and do that, which Ashtanga yoga could be a form of Hatha yoga. So, with that in mind, going into Hatha, Hatha also means kind of a force, a forcefulness. So, it's a system of physical techniques and movements, that balance. So, Ha being the sun, Tha meaning the moon. So, we are balancing with our breath and our body. We're balancing our yin and our yang. We're balancing our body, our spirit, our mind, our mental through Hatha yoga. And that balance of the movements and body alignment. And in the West, it's really become a medium paced or softer, slower yoga, not as fast or quick as a power yoga, so to speak. And because we're focusing on that alignment and really focusing on that breath. So power yoga, you might get caught up in the moves and you may lose awareness of your breath. Hatha, we're taking that time to really move kind of in synchronization with the breath. And then it sets us up for meditation. So we will do a meditation, just an awareness on the breath at the end of class today. So if you have questions about that, reach out to me, best bet Instagram at Carmita Smiles. You can find me on there. Ask me any questions. We're going to get into our practice. We're going to see Bunny is already causing a ruckus on my mat. So that's all right. He's a bun being a bun. But as we get started, we're going to start seated. I always, as in all classes, promote just kind of coming into center with your breath, welcoming yourself into your space. Don't worry so much as what I'm doing, as I will take myself out of alignment so that I can guide or speak towards the camera so that you can hear me well. But do your best to just flow. If something is calling you to stay in a pose, feel free to stay in that pose longer. If something is asking you to release sooner than I do, feel free to release out of that pose. And moving with breath, that awareness as you move, take your time. Do what's calling you. If you'd like to do a different variation of the pose, you're more than welcome. If you have sturdy furniture like I do all around me, feel free to utilize that. If you have blocks or straps or books, anything that'll help where you're not gonna, be tipped or cause any worry, feel free to use it. A lot of the poses can be adaptive to seated yoga. So if you have questions about that, reach out to me also. You can also leave comments and I'll do my best to get back to you and comment after the class because I won't want to look at them while we're in flow. And just breathe. Breathing and smiling and doing what is being called to you. So, if you'd like to have that hazy gaze or closed eyes, feel free to do such. If you would like to have music on in the background, I always recommend some lo-fi. We're on YouTube, so some lo-fi maybe on Spotify this time. And we'll get started. So, as I mentioned, we're going to start seated. So just extending out the legs in front of our bodies, or if you're seated in chair, you might be sitting on your chair as long as you feel sturdy, and then the legs may be extended out. We're going to start with a forward fold. So take your time this forward fold. We're going to go through about 3 different times just to really start to awaken the bodies and welcome awareness. So shake anything out, kind of wiggle anything out that is calling to be let go. And then when you're ready, we're going to take the arms, creep them through center, up to ceiling and sky. Vision or head tilt can follow. Maybe a little baby back bend here. Exhale, forward fold nice and slow. You're inhaling up, exhaling as you forward fold, and then you fall into your breath. You could start with your knees bent or one and then the other knee bent. Flow with your body. Maybe your upper body's lifted at first. Then as you sink in and breathe, you start to flow forward. And just as you're breathing, naturally allow the body to maybe you bend and unbend one knee and then the other, or you flex and then unflex one foot and the other. Your hands could be outside the feet, on the shins, on the thighs. Just take a few more breaths here. Take your time. If you feel any tension or tightness in the jaw, the head, the neck, or some rounding of the back, you're lengthening, guiding with those arms naturally. You might have a little baby, tiny, 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 tiny little hump around the back. A little, we might be different, but do your best to stay away from bringing the ears close to the shoulders. You want to allow everything to relax as you breathe in your forward fold. Release any tightness or tension. Then, when ready, you'll gently roll up back to seated. Release, lengthen through the crown and spine. Then when ready, we're going to creep those arms up to ceiling and sky once again. Inhale up, exhale, forward fold. Each forward fold may feel a bit different. It may request different things from you. After your next inhale and exhale, roll up the spine once again. Creep those arms through nice and slow. Take your time, especially if you're dealing with any vertigo. Keep the head lifted if you choose. Once again, lengthen. Inhale up, exhale, forward fold. One more breath. Then when ready, gently roll up. Seated staff pose. We're going to go ahead and the hands are going to be facing forward. We're going to gently press them into the mat. So you might lift your tail off the mat and ground just a smidge. So you're going to press those palms into mat, or you maybe take your feet in to support you. And if possible, you press your hands into the sturdy furniture that won't move next to you, and you lift up your tail just a smidge. Shoulders move away from ears, lifting up. Feet are flexed towards ceiling and sky. And release. A little gentle bend in the elbows. Shake anything out that you need. And then when ready, once again, inhale, exhale, breathe, seated staff pose. Maybe press those palms. Feel all the pinky, the fingertips, everything pressing into the mat so you're not putting too much pressure just on the wrists. Then release once again. Then once again, you have those hands at sides. Take a moment to really have the fingers, they're all together, fingertips pointing forward. Feel the fingers, the middle of hand, the back of hand, the sides, all pressing into mat. And lift up. See if there's any difference you feel there. And then release. It's a good way to work those upper body muscles also in those arms. So once you release, you take a moment, maybe take some wrist circles or some finger wiggles, whatever you choose. And that's going to set us up for our next pose. So, with a little more awareness, going back to breath, especially with the next pose. So, we're gonna change and adapt this pose a little bit. There are two different versions. If you'd like, you have options. You could do reverse tabletop here, or you could do this kind of reverse plank. So, think of that seated staff pose. You have options. You're gonna have the hands just a little more. They might go a little bit more behind the tail here because you're going to bring them in a little bit close, and you have the option to work with the heels connecting to mat, or you're going to want to point those feet away, and you're just going to lift up just a tad, and you're going to keep lifting and raising from the center, from the hips, the groin, and lift it up towards the sky. So you have that option where the hands are close and you're just lifting here. You're thinking of that seated staff pose as you lift away from the shoulders. If you want to take that a little bit further, bring the hands back further behind you and then really lift up, and you're lifting from that center once again. Toes are pointed. If you would like to take it a little bit further, you can bring the feet in, hands are in. You're going to do reverse tabletop. Make any adjustments when you get there. You might really feel this in the shoulders and chest. Lifting up, tighten those glutes, those quads. Feet are forward, head can go back if you choose. Breathe here. And then gently, no matter whatever version you chose, return down to seated and release the legs and shake anything out that you need. We're going to do that one more time just for good measure. So, options to choose how you move, what you would like to move, shake anything out when you're ready. Then take the hands to where they feel supported in the body. You could take that reverse tabletop if you'd like to. You could even, as you're going into reverse tabletop, it's a little tricky, so you want to be cautious with self, but you could start with lifting just a tad and then take one foot out and lift a little bit higher. As you're breathing, move with your breath. Inhale and then extend. Then exhale and lift. Or then you have that option to bring it in. So you have that option. It's a little bit tricky to move from one or the other, but if you just want to try with adapting with one leg extended, then bring it in, you have that option. Or the tabletop, or just starting with the legs nice and long and lifting up. Breathe and release, let go. Great job. Shake anything out that you need. Moving with that breath, taking adaptions as you choose. And you could do that various ways on the chair. So just be very mindful if you are doing that in the seat. Maybe you'd rather focus on, if your chair is nice and sturdy, just extending those legs out, tail on seat, and taking the body back a bit in chair if you choose. So you have those options. We're going to go ahead and continue on. We're going to go with a spinal twist to Welcome another way to welcome awareness to our breath. We're moving with intention. Gonna start taking by that left leg close and into body. We're gonna keep it on left side. We're gonna wrap the opposite arm around. You can do this in seated also. You just do a seated chair spinal twist. So you could leave the legs extended and you would just move the upper body to one side and the other. And you're gonna backstroke, same side arm. Hold here for 3 to 5 breaths. After your next inhale, exhale, gently release. We're going to keep awareness on that same side body. We're going to cross that leg now over the opposite. Make any adjustments. Then that arm could wrap around again, or you have that option. Take it a little deeper. Opposite arm goes past that leg and breathe 3 to 5 breaths. You might notice the differences in your body. It's going to massage those internal organs. And when ready, gently release. Take a breath, relax. We're going to take all that to the opposite side. Adjust anything you need. Then, when ready, pull that right leg in nice and close. Opposite arm wraps around, same side arm backs behind you, and breathe. You're still lengthening that crown. The foot may be soft, or the toe might be flexing towards the sky on the opposite foot. That's long. Love the long leg. And when ready, gently release that upper body, twisting that torso back to the front. Cross that leg over. Option to wrap opposite leg around or out and breathe. When ready, gently release, moving with breath. Extend that right leg out. We're going to go for a forward fold once again. Maybe your legs this time are straight or the toes. We're going to go ahead. We're going to creep the arms out to sides this time, extending and lengthening through the arms out from one shoulder and the other. Then raise them to ceiling and sky. Inhale, lengthen and breathe and stretch. Exhale, forward fold. Gently, slowly roll up the spine. Take a breath. All right, we'll be on our tails just one more moment. We're going to go into a boat pose to start to bring awareness above self, lifting root to rise from ground to sky. So we're going to slowly first take these feet in nice and close. You have options, modified boat pose here, or you have the option to lift here, or you have that third option, lift here, here. So you have those options. Find whichever one is calling you. Inhale, exhale is going to work the abs. Also bring awareness to that center. Move with your breath, no rush, no hurry. You could also start with one leg and then the other. So do what your body is asking. And when ready, lift up and breathe. We'll be here about 2 to 3, so a quick one. I'm always a little shaky lady when I do this one. And when ready, gently release. Turn to floor, and shaken is all right because that means you're working those muscles. And a few months ago, I can already see my differences. I shook a lot more and felt unsturdy when I wasn't getting my daily practice in compared to now. And I've added more of that weightlifting at the gym, more core work. So you see those results. Yay! So we're going to go ahead and allow a little butterfly pose to come back into center. So you're gonna drop the knees out to either side. You could have blocks underneath the legs. You could press your body against a wall to go a little bit deeper. And then already we're just gonna either you could flutter your wings, just gives the legs a little rest after that pose. You could opposite shake up the knees. Take a breath here. Few breaths. Balancing out, we move front to back, high and low. Balance it out with some side to side. Remember that sun, that moon. And gently release. We're going to go ahead and allow the feet to come out to either side. And we're going to come onto knees. We're going to go in for Balasana, child's pose. So you can scooch back to the back of your mat. Knees could be under hips or mat width apart. Big toes touching if mat width apart. And Balasana. So you have option if you have covers or blankets or whatnot to use props accordingly. Or you option, I'm going to keep my head lifted because Bunny does wander about my mat. So you're more than welcome to rest your forehead on that mat if you choose, if arms are extended. Breathe that tail coming over the heels. Breathe and lengthen. Feel the crown and the upper body extending away from the lower body. One or two more breaths. Then when ready, lift up a bit. Be cautious of using any blocks or whatnot. You're going to take the right arm. We're going to thread it underneath the needle. Thread the needle. Right arm goes out to left. And left arm can extend and lengthen the right temple or right shoulder connecting with mat. And breathe. Return to center. You're going to take it to the opposite side. So maybe stretch or release if you need. An opposite arm floats through. If you're in seated, you would be in a seated pose and you would use your lap to play as the mat or floor in your thread the needle. So this pose is possible in various variations and ways. Let me know if you have questions about that. I have some seated yoga, so if you've done it or if you find the chair yoga, you'll see that in some of the classes. And release back to center. And when ready, slowly rise. If knees mat width apart, bring them underneath the hips. And just take a moment here to maybe rock the body side to side in crescent moons. And then maybe find stillness, find some cat-cows at your own pace and time. Cow would be dropping the belly, tail and crown would lift. Cat would be pulling that belly button in, rounding the back. Hands and wrists underneath the shoulders. If you're moving through cat-cows and crescent moons. An option, of course, you could always circle about in one direction and or the other direction. And we'll come back to our tabletop. So we're going to find our first downward dog, a flow today. So prepare the body as you need. There's lots of variations. You're going to get up on those toes. Heels are going to go to the sky. Hands may move a tiny bit forward towards the front, maybe just a few inches away from body. When you're ready, you'll start to lift off those knees. You could take the tail back. You could have the knees bent. And slowly, as you're pedaling the feet or awakening the body, you'll find your full downward dog. Of course, check your outfits and bodies if you're, you know, out in public area doing this. But then when you're ready, adjust your downward dog. The feet are about shoulder width apart. Not as close as in standing mountain, which is another variation. Very close to this downward dog. Where the tail is the tip and top of the mountain. Engage that core. Breathe, allow the head to invert a bit in line with the arms. Breathe. Take any movements that are calling your body. And then when ready, gently release. Maybe lift up on those toes, tiptoes, then release. And just kind of flutter the feet back there. So just kind of tapping the tops of the feet or the toes into the mat. Get some release or some toe wiggles to get some release. And we're going to do that downward dog again. We're going to flow through 3 times. So when ready, once again, find your downward dog. Welcome the stretch in the calves. And breathe. Check in all those fingertips, hands on all sides, pressing into the mat. Start to think about fixing and connecting and synchronizing breath with the pose a little bit more aligned, the body. And when ready, once again, gently release. Make any adjustments. Then we're going to go for number 3 and through a plank and onto belly. So when ready, lift up, find that downward dog. Make any adjustments. Breathe. Maybe take one more inhale and exhale. And when ready, you're going to slowly take the body forward, crown towards top of the mat, plank pose. And with control, drop down onto belly. We're going to go ahead and take a moment here on belly. You could extend the arms nice and long. You could take forehead or side to mat. Breathe. Then we're going to take a snake pose. Hands come up towards the top. And lift up for just a little baby snake here, baby cobra. And release. We'll do one more, taking it a bit further. If you'd like, you could also move into Sphinx or up dog. Bring the hands a little bit closer in then, and the chest, and lift. Feet are flat behind you and long, shoulders away from ears, crown growing tall. Getting a stretch in the front body, belly, and spine. And release. You keep feet flat or option to go on those toes. If it supports you, I'm going to roll down Balasana. One more breath, and when ready, gently rise. Thread the needle, right arm goes under left, right shoulder temple goes to mat. Return to center, release, and thread the needle, left hand under right if you so choose. And then back to center and release. And when ready, take another breath. Gently return to all fours. And we're going to fold. We're going to stand into a forward fold. So when ready, take those knees, if they're mat width apart, underneath the hips. Find those toes connected to mat. Bring the hands in closer to support the body. And when ready, gently rise. Walk the hands closer to feet or toes. Find yourself in forward fold. You can have a gentle bend in the knees as you go into your forward fold. Then when you get there, find some movement. Stretch in the back of the legs. You can bend and unbend the knees. It's going to feel different, possibly, than the seated forward fold. Option for ragdoll, of course, moving and grooving any way you choose. Like, keep the head risen if you have anything going on with vertigo. Seated forward fold option. Just let the head or hands hang. When ready, we're going to find a halfway lift. All four sides of feet connected to floor. Inhale, lift. Engage. Pull that belly button into spine or belly. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. We're going to go ahead in our forward fold. I'm going to turn so you can see what I'm doing. In your forward fold, you're going to go ahead and you're going to move the hands if you choose, or if you would like, to the back of the legs, hands or arms. And then you're just going to allow either keeping them low or bringing them a little bit higher above the calves or thighs. And you're going to allow maybe like one arm to wrap around the other or one wrist to wrap around the other. And you're going to bring your upper body in a little bit closer to that lower body, kind of pulling it in. You're going to feel a little stretch in the shoulder blades. And gently release. Halfway lift. Hold in your halfway lift. And just find your breath and breathing here. So you're inhaling and exhaling. Shoulders are moving back, tail's back. Hands could be on thighs. And then gently bend the knees, release the body, roll up the spine to standing nice and slow. No rush, no hurry. Move with your breath. And then when ready, as you come into standing, arms are going to creep through center, flip to ceiling and sky. Vision can follow. Baby back bend if you choose. And hands together at heart. Take a smile, take a breath, find what you need here. Connect at your center of your mat if you're using a mat or in seat. Take a moment and just feel the body. Breathe, thumbs to sternum. I'm going to come into awareness at center and breath once again. I'll take a little release, standing Tadasana mountain break. So you're going to release your arms from your sternum. You're going to have your palms connected. And as you work, and this might be different for everybody, you're going to just slowly bring your inside of your forearms closer to connect so you can see from the different views. It's going to be in front of the shoulders. There's a machine like that at the gym that kind of moves like that. So it's like that chest press. So it's like your chest pressing, but you're bringing them just in, holding it, working those shoulders, working those arms, and then you're going to lift and raise those arms. Either you have option, you could keep it low here, or you can start to lift it here about, about what is that, like a 90 degree, or then you could raise it a little bit taller if you choose. And now it's going to move your body. So obviously if it's lower, you're going to have a little bit of a round back, but if you're lifting it higher, it might lift and raise the chest. So you could stay anywhere in between. Connect with that breath. Brings that awareness into that chest. You have that awareness on your belly button, and it keeps your awareness on that part of the body. Even when I'm talking and I start not paying attention to what my hands are doing, it starts to release. So we're keeping it as close as we physically can with our bodies. And then when you're ready, your arms have maybe gotten a little bit shaky. You're going to gently release. Let the arms go down at sides. You could shake out. I love that shake, that wiggle, that rock. So go ahead and shake out what you need. Find standing Tadasana. So crown is high, palms are forward, shoulders are away from the ears. You could close the eyes for a moment and breathe. We moved through quite a bit, moving with our breath moving through our body. Take a moment for stillness. Allow any sensations and movements to just be. enjoying where we are right now, here, right here in this place. Yeah, and then when ready, you could relaxed Tadasana possibly. All right, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna bring some awareness to that lower body, a little lifted movement. If you have straps, feel more than welcome to use yoga straps or belts or a thick something if you have it, whatever you choose. I know some people always recommend a scarf. If you have a sturdy scarf, sometimes the softer scarves kind of give. So if you have a sturdy scarf, feel free to use that for prop instead. If you have blocks or book, you might use that to balance with the lower body and feet too. We're going to get a leg lift. Fun. I'm sure he'll be back in the picture in about 2 seconds. Oh, there we go. So, and then when you're ready, choose a standing leg. I'm going to do my left leg standing leg. And then when ready, gonna find that weight, kind of move over to that standing leg. Find your knee lift on the opposite side. Hands can be where they support the body, whether holding strap, whether toes are connected to floor or block. And you're gonna find that standing leg. So I'm taking mine up all the way. I'm gonna check in with my body. So I'm gonna check in with my hips. Foot is toes are pointing forward, flex forward. Hands are at sides. Now, if you feel balanced here, if you're on block, I'm going to take hands to heart, option to join. And then I'm going to kick that same standing leg, opposite of standing leg, the leg that's lifted behind me. I'm going to push it back, and then I'm going to take that foot behind me opposite, if you can see here. I'm going to drop those toes down, and then I'm just going to take a little curtsy here. And then lifting up, take that leg back forward. And then I'm ready. I'm going to wrap it around the opposite leg. I'm going to do the same, a little curtsy. Toes are now wrapped around to that side. And lift it up. Do that again. Take it back and around. Lift it up and take it front around. Option to bring those arms together. This is practicing for an eagle. This is set up for one variation of eagle or even bird pose, bird of paradise setup pose. And then you lift and raise and release. So release. Oh my God, he came here and left me a gift on my mat and then he ran away. We're going to take that to opposite sides. So reset, release. We're going to find a moment for meditation after. So opposite leg, now standing leg. Hands go where they support the body. You could even use something on prop. You could do the seated also. You'd be in seated as you float the legs around and about. When ready, leg lift. Keep those hips balanced as you on that standing leg. Then when ready, you could take that foot forward, curtsy down if you're standing, and feel that opposite. The legs might be different. This leg does not want to wrap around as easily as the other leg. So you have those opposites there. Then the leg goes up, it's going to go back, curtsy, and lift it up. Doing it in reverse, I just realized that. So we're going to take it to the front again, wrap it around, and then take it back. Keep that in back this time, bring those arms forward, and then lift it back up and release. Shake or walk anything out. I have a bunny behind me. So we're going to go ahead and take a yogic squat back down to mat. We're going to bring a little meditation awareness to breath work exercise. So take your yoga squat however you choose to bring down to mat. There are options. You could choose to just start to bend at the knees and use the hands as support, release, and come down onto tail. Option, keeping those feet forward. Drop down, get a little stretch, pressing onto the feet for a stretch in the toes. Knees go forward. Or you have that option for a garland. So you have that option to make it back down to mat. Toes a little more wide, wider than the shoulders. And you have option to drop to garland here, a little higher, almost like sumo wrestler style. And then bring your hands down. And then option to, kind of rock and loosen anything up. Option for a garland. Option to put that block underneath the tail if you choose, or work on your balance. Take a moment in your yoga squat or garland pose, whichever you choose. And then when ready, gently release. Shake out the legs if you need. Shake out the body if you need. Look who's behaving. He didn't try to chew my mat once today. He's learned. He said, Mommy doesn't bring out the mat if I try to eat it. So he's learning. All right, it's hemp. It's all natural, but it's still don't want him eating things because it just died. All right, so when you're ready, you're going to find a Sukhasana. And I've talked about this in other classes. When you find yourself in Sukhasana, notice if you float forward or backwards naturally. Just kind of check in with those sit bones. You can even have a block or blanket underneath those sit bones so that they're above hips and waist. You could also always take a locust or full lotus pose, whichever is gonna float with you there. And the lotus pose actually does kind of place you in that middle again. But in Sukhasana, I notice for me, I tend to float forward or back. So it's nice to find that center. And even a half lotus helps with that, finding center. So option two, shake out anything. Take any last breaths or shakes that the body's calling. And then when ready, you're going to allow the hands to float to sides or onto the thighs and knees, palms facing up. Shoulders away from ears, so a little awareness at center, lengthening through the spine. Option to close the eyes if you feel you're in a space of peace and safety. Or option to bring your focus onto one thing, maybe a point on the wall or a photo or what have you. And then just start to breathe, breathing through the nose, just naturally. Maybe with a gentle smile on the face. It gives the eyelids a little break. And as you're breathing, slowly allow your exhales to be deeper. So you're inhaling. It's making little squeak noises over here. Inhaling, exhaling. Still exhaling through the nose, still inhaling, exhaling through the nose. But just allow that exhale to be deeper. Exhaling through the nose. Start to notice if there's a little more awareness, that you feel like you're pushing that exhale through the nose a little bit. If you don't notice any sound with your breathing now as you're inhaling and exhaling through the nose, go ahead and take your hands and take your pointer fingers and gently just cover the insides of your ear holes. Just gently, don't, climb in there, just nice and easy, or cover your ears and continue to breathe that inhale and exhale. Awareness of the inhale in, maybe a little bit longer, deeper, and maybe even hold it for a moment in between. Then when you're ready to exhale, go ahead and release. And continue this practice. Continue breathing with that awareness, inhaling and exhaling. Maybe take about 2 to 3 more of those, and then naturally allow your body to return to its natural breathing. Maybe then you need to exhale out the mouth if you choose. Your body is calling that. And then return to your normal breathing at your own pace, your own time. Gently, softly returning to your natural breathing, lighter breaths. And when ready, after you return to your natural breathing, allow your palms to return to heart center, thumb to sternum. Maybe the eyes are still closed, maybe they're open. No matter where and what you choose, I'd like to thank you for joining me for this evening Hatha Yoga. If you have any questions, please reach out. May this ease you into the rest of your day, evening, or night, into with peace, love, smile. Namaste. So take your time releasing yourself from your Sukhasana or seated pose. Take your time aligning and connecting with your breath. And thank you for being here. As I stated, may this flow ease you into the rest of your day with light, love, peace, and smiles. Namaste. Thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Reach out to me on Instagram. Bunny of his butt to the camera. Bunny, you gotta say bye. You got your butt to the cam, buddy. So thanks for joining me and Bun. I'm glad he hung out a little bit longer. I know he likes when I'm on the mat, since he won't get to have as much time on the mat in the future. So as we'll be in new place and space. But yeah, reach out to me. Check out the seated chair yoga if you're curious about any modifications with the poses. You can see that as in the bed yoga or the chair yogas that I have. Or if you just have wellness questions. So I just did actually revamp the website. Yay! So soft opening for that. If you are looking for more information about what's going on with me and other people's, feel free to check that out if you happen to be in Cleveland, Ohio tomorrow, depending on the date that you're watching this, the original date, then Bottoms Up Yoga. So you can check that out and find more information about that and wherever else I pop up on Instagram. Thanks for joining. Have a great evening. Take care.